Hey everybody, welcome to Ask Dr. Testosterone, starring Dr. George Tuliatos, brought to you by his books, Bodybuilding, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. And of course, the sequel written last year, Training, Nutrition, Supplementation in Bodybuilding, both available on Amazon.com. And while you're on Amazon.com, go ahead and buy my book, please, Real Bodybuilding. And now, joining us all the way from Athens, Greece, please welcome Dr. T himself, Dr. George Tuliatos. Welcome, Doc.
Hi, Ron, from heating Athens. We have 100 degrees over here.
Ooh, yeah, I mean, you grew up in Greece. Isn't it always pretty much hot, like 80, 90?
Well, every summer since I was a kid. I mean,
yeah.
As far as I remember, I was. So you never go. I mean, you never avoid 100 degrees at least.
Wow.
Once a week in the summertime. You know, it's reasonable.
Too hot. Too hot.
Yeah. So I traveled across the north. It was 300 kilometers and 300 miles. I'm sorry, 500 kilometers to go to the subcapital city of Athens. You know, the second largest. Where's the film festival of Salonika? You know, it's very notorious. And there's a film documentary by Michael Clomid is the director, and he's been filming for 5 years, you know, about bodybuilding. It's a film documentary, something like Generation Iron, for instance. It's a footage, you know, of 3 bodybuilders. Now, we have a famous over here, amateur, who competed also at the NPC, and he was unfortunate to come to finish second at the overall. He won his class, the super heavy, but he lost from somebody else. Anyway, his coach also, and myself. At the time, we were also at the Bodybuilding Club, which is the largest brand of bodybuilding stores in Athens, in Greece and Cyprus. Anyway, so we cooperated back then, and the film started at the time when G Color was in Athens 2016 for the second time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was a footage of me and of them also, you know, training, also competing, and myself at work, you know, at home also. And at the restaurant, I go and eat my protein meal every day. And yes, it was really interesting. And my perspective was to speak about the ugly side of bodybuilding. You know, that is not revealed about what it takes to do all these things, and actually what the possible dangers. So the critics were really good, you know, at the press conference. And I hope then this film will go well for at the Cannes in France, also Venice, and the other is in Germany, in Berlin, you know, festival.
Yeah.
And sometime, perhaps, hopefully, during the winter time, in a movie theater in Athens, you know. But it's the first time that bodybuilding comes into a film, you know, and it's like a documentary.
So what's the name of the bodybuilder that it focuses on most of the time?
Sorry?
There's a bodybuilder, I think it's following. What was his name? I don't think we got his name.
Lefteris Sideropoulos is this guy who's an amateur, and he had the potential to earn the pro card. You know, he has a frame of 235 at 5'9" with this V taper, you know.
Yeah.
And it was his coach, Stavros Tiolidi, myself. And, it's really sentimental because it reveals all the pain, the agony, the frustration, you know. And, of course, whatever it takes. And, it was the director and the cameraman in the car with me, you know. It was like filming a movie, you know. You see me. I was speaking to him, you know, the angles of the camera. And really interesting in my home over here, you know, at the swimming pool.
Yeah.
Everywhere at work, you know, in my office, at the clinic I was cooperating with.
Wow. What was it like seeing yourself on that giant screen?
It was spectacular. Yeah,
it's crazy.
Quite
right?
an experience.
Yeah, I can only imagine because, you know, movie screens are enormous. They're like 100 feet wide. That must be crazy. So, Doc, we also had a contest over the weekend. We had a pro bodybuilding show in Puerto Rico. Actually, in the Bahamas. It was in the Bahamas.
Yeah, I was a beast, you know. Perhaps Mustafa had greater legs, but I never saw Mustafa in a crispy condition, you know.
I mean,
as good as the others in order to win.
yeah,
But
so
Akeem was a beast and had the whole package, and he deserved to be at the Olympia.
I mean, Hassan Mustafa, this had to give him enough points to go to the Olympia anyway. So maybe between now and the Olympia, Chris Aceto can get this guy shredded, because all he needs is condition. That guy, I love that guy's
He has
physique.
better legs than Rami, but the point is to
they're
bring
all
also the
over.
conditioning, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
At least his thighs are enormous.
oh, he's a big dude. I mean, I've stood next to him. His arms are like, I think his wife, I made a joke in front of his wife that his arms were 23 inches, and she goes, no, they're 24. I'm like, geez, okay. It's a big, I don't know, he's a big dude. But congratulations to Akeem, because he missed out on
I believe Akeem is the largest guy after Rami.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, well, Kukla is like 285 on stage.
Really? That much?
Yeah,
Steve?
280, 285. Steve's a big guy. He's a big dude. Akeem is up there. There's not many really big guys anymore. There's not many. I mean, they're shorter. You got like Hadi and Bonac, Rolly's.
I mean, Brandon is 250 the most.
Curry, I don't know. Is he about 250? Yeah, yeah. So Rami's the heaviest for sure, but after that, it's not too many more. Anyway.
So who was at Puerto Rico? Anybody from MD?
No, we didn't send. The only media that was there that I could tell was NPC News Online. Yeah, we didn't have any. I wanted to go because it was in the Bahamas. It was at a resort, place with like its own aquarium, all this water slides. I was like, man, I want to go. But no, I'll be at the Chicago Pro, Tampa Pro, maybe the Texas one, and of course the Arnold, the Olympia. Hopefully Arnold UK. We're working on that. So there's plenty of shows coming up. But all right, Doc, let's get into some questions. We got some good ones over this last week, guys, from you. First one, hello, doctor. Is it true that high hematocrit levels associated with low platelets do not represent a risk factor?
Yes, this is a fact, and it's more promising. Actually, it's a compensatory mechanism from the system, to lower down the platelets production from the bone marrow when the hemoglobin is high and the percentage of the blood cells, which is the hematocrit. And this is something good, actually. Otherwise, it's called polycythemia vera, And you can also deactivate those platelets by using aspirin or large doses of fish oil.
Okay.
Like, yes, this is a fact, and it's a good thing. So in this way, you avoid the thrombotic effect, and clotting.
Cool. Right on. Now, this is one you've talked about before. Your thoughts? What are your thoughts on Tudca for liver health, especially as it compares to Milk Thistle? What's the best supplement to take for kidney health? So first of all, Tudca.
Not for kidney, for liver.
Yeah, and then he's.
But it's not comparable because Tudca applies only on the jaundice. There's no point to use Tudca unless you don't have cholestasis. Okay, and apart from Milk Thistle, glutathione is by far the best detox.
Okay.
The product,
So Tudca, you don't need it unless you're starting to see jaundice, like
yeah, exactly. It can reverse cholestasis,
Yeah.
That has to do with bile, with bile. So when bile accumulates, of course, out of the liver, you have this kind of this intrahepatic, intracellular problem.
Okay. And I don't think we've talked about supplements for kidney health before, have we?
Oh, there's nothing to do. I mean,
drink a lot of water.
Blood pressure, hydrate a lot and avoid some harmful substances like non-steroid inflammatory drugs, certain antibiotics, trembolone, of course, that increases blood pressure, stimulants, extra salt, extra protein, extra creatine monohydrate. They all stress under circumstances the kidneys. But I had a case at the office today when there was this guy with removed the one kidney from an accident, and his creatinine was 145, and then the nephrologist told me there's nothing we can do to lower it. So downsize you have to downsize, of course, less muscle, less creatine, and then also do not overtrain, manage your blood pressure, hydrate, and that's all.
Yeah.
There's nothing such as the liver, where a liver plays a role in detoxification. Kidneys just filtrate.
Right.
So you need to keep the filter, which is the glomerulus, in a good shape.
Yeah. I mean, water, probably one of the worst
Water
things.
and avoid blood pressure, because blood pressure thickens the filter, and then protein leaves, you know.
Yeah. You know, up until about 3 years ago, I had no idea that high blood pressure had a negative impact on your kidneys.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
And you know, this will will make the kidney go downhill. But what about the stroke over here?
Yeah.
You know, a hemorrhage over here may leave you paralyzed or kill you in a heartbeat, you know?
Yeah. Wow. Proviron. Do you believe that proviron during a cycle could be helpful to restore hpta easier after a cycle, like HCG keeps your testicles working during a cycle?
Not at all.
Oh.
Not at all. Proviron is used to boost free testosterone. And if you use it in PCT, it's a mistake, you know, because it shuts off. It's only used for fertility, and there is a question mark. Are you going to use for fertility proviron or other substances like HCG or HMG, you know?
Yeah.
So it's a mistake to use it during PCT, and the only benefit within the cycle is to boost free testosterone, sex drive, perhaps some slight androgenic effect. Otherwise, you can substitute testosterone with proviron as an androgen when you use some pills, for instance, a monotherapy of DHT derivatives, Winslow or Anavar. You just use proviron because you don't want to pin yourself with testosterone.
Yeah.
And actually, if you use Anavar and proviron rather than Anavar testosterone, you're going to come off easier, because testosterone may be beneficial within the cycle. However, it will shut off from day one, the HPTA.
Right. So proviron and Anavar, that's a combo I never heard of too often.
Yeah.
Okay. Ah, this is a good one. I have a lot of human growth hormone, so much that I can use 6 IU every day for 6 months, but it will expire in 2 months. What do you suggest? Can I use it or throw it away after a year? It's a year after its expiration date. 45 years old. My high 5.5.
Well, use it and just check out if IGF-1 responds. If yes, continue using this, okay?
Yeah. I mean, growth comes in the little glass containers with the powder in it. As long as it's been kept in a cool, dry place, you know, out of the heat, out of the light. I don't think it's gonna.
Of course, you're refrigerated, but I don't know if it leaves some potency. You just have to figure out after you use each bottle, you know, and measure that you're fine.
Yeah, I mean, if it was me, I would just keep using it. But you know, I'm a meathead. That's the way that my mind works. I'm not gonna throw any. Are you kidding me? I'm not gonna throw growth hormone away. That's crazy. Oh, it's like throwing good food away. All right. Doctor, what is the difference between Clomid and Nolvadex? Do they target different estrogen receptors? Should we use both of them for PCT, or only one of them is enough? If so, which one do you suggest? I want the least amount of side effects possible.
I think Nolvadex is more beneficial under gynecomastia when you have already pain, while clomiphene is better to be used for PCT. However, I combine them both for PCT. Actually, they do the same mechanism. They trick hypothalamus by lowering the estrogen hypophysis for the production of gonadotropin-releasing hormone. But it's important to use them in low dose. So let's say half a pill of both. And that's all. I mean,
what
else? You need, of course, you need also the HCG in first place and after the serum.
So what do the pills usually come in? 40? I remember like years ago, 40
15,
milligrams?
20, but I suggest 25 and 10 to be used.
Okay.
Low dose. I've heard crazy doses of 100 Clomid that make you jump for the window, you know? Yeah.
Make you cry. Yeah, Clomid used to make me like...
metal, actually, they may lead to thrombosis because they elevate initial estrogen, you know?
Yeah.
In the long term, they lower. And also, they elevate the HPG. It's crazy because higher HPG lower free testosterone.
Right. Yeah. Clomid. That was the only times I ever did PCT.
Over here, you see blurry vision, you know?
Yeah. Clomid can destroy. We had me and O'Connor like 3 years ago, I think it was. We had a young guy. He was like 21 years old. He went blind from Clomid. He was a college football player. I think he started to get some vision back, but that's scary. Wow. Very scary. Nobody wants to go blind. Okay. Hey, you two, that's me and you, looking for a cycle critique. This is all you. My goal is additional lean tissue mass gain. I've been cycling for 5 years and training for 15 years, 30 years old, 5'5", 185 pounds, 10% body fat. So this is the cycle he wants to do. For 8 weeks, he wants to do Tescipionate 600 milligrams, Tescip, Masteron and Anthate 400 milligrams, Deca 300 milligrams, Trenbolone acetate 300 milligrams. I got to do some math here. So that's 6,000, 1,300. That's 1,600 milligrams all in all.
That's a lot for a guy at 5'5".
For 5'5". You need to be taller, sir, to do more steroids. So
I think that's a lot of gear for a guy of his stature, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what would you just use the same compounds and take them down in the dose, or would you remove a couple of those compounds?
You know, I mean, not all together, you know. It's a lot of risk, you know, elevate the blood pressure also and stress the liver, they mess up with the kidneys and stress the liver, you know, because even though they're not 70 alkylated, combine all these compounds with overtraining may affect your liver up to a point, you know.
So would you
not
use
just the pills that mess up the liver, also any kind of steroid compound that can be abused.
True. Yeah, I mean, I tell people injections are better than pills for liver,
up to the point, you know.
But they're not harmless. Yeah,
of course.
So would you use all those compounds, or would you get rid of one of those maybe?
So
he's got Cipionate, Masteron, Deca, and Tren all together, four compounds.
Yeah, so Masteron and Tren, no estrogen, so put them together and Deca will test in first place as a bulking, and then you lean out. But I mean, chill out with the doses, you know.
Yeah, I mean that's a good amount. I try personally, even when I blast now, I don't go over like 1,000 milligrams a week. To me, that's plenty. But I'm old. This guy's okay. This I have never heard of.
He's 45, you know. I mean,
45.
He's not young to.
Oh, no, this guy's 30. We were just talking.
30. Okay, I'm sorry.
That's pretty young. That's a young guy as far as I'm concerned. Not a kid, but I have never heard of this word. This whatever this is, drug, EZE to ezetimibe. He says thoughts on using ezetimibe to control cholesterol while on TRT.
I have no idea about this compound, but the red rice yeast is a plant-based statin, is more promising. Now, if it doesn't work with this in this bergamot, you said, go on statin, you know. But take it easy with training, because we will affect in a nasty way your muscles if you overtrain with a statin.
So everything that controls cholesterol is a statin?
Not necessarily.
No.
Actually, red rice yeast is a plant-based statin. It works like a statin.
Gotcha.
But the other phytosterols, bergamot, polycosanol, and resveratrol, no.
Yeah, because he says.
But if it doesn't work this way, go on a statin low dose for a brief period of time.
Yeah,
and especially without using steroids.
I didn't finish. He uses citrus, bergamot, and red yeast rice, but cholesterol is still high.
But if it doesn't go down with these, then move to a statin, you know.
Yeah, I'm on what's the real generic one?
Lipitor.
I'm on the generic version, Lipitor, 10 milligrams.
Actually, I was talking we had a gathering at the university I was studying, and the cardiologist told me that Crestor, which is robostatin, is the best statin by far and can reverse the plaque. It can reverse plaque.
Oh, it reverses plaque. Is that atorvastatin? Is that what you said is a generic name?
Robustatin, yeah, which is Crestor in Greece, the generic name.
No, I'm on Lipitor. I'm on the other one.
Yeah, this is the old thing, you know, the very first statin was Lipitor. Then we have the Crestor, which is robostatin. And actually, this can suck up the plaque, you know.
Oh, I got to talk to my cardiologist. I need to switch medication. Yeah. Jeez.
My brother-in-law also suggests me this, Crestor. It comes a low dose of 5.
Is your brother-in-law a cardiologist?
Yeah. He saved my ass, yeah.
Really? What a family. Huh. Yeah. Milos's parents are both doctors, and his sister's a doctor.
Psychiatrist, I think, and his sister.
Yeah. Psychiatrist. That's good. You could one relative handles the body, and another one handles your mind. Yeah. Final question. Hi, Doc. I'm on a bulking cycle, which you mentioned in your PEDs book. When I finish this cycle, I'm planning to start my next cycle after 3 months break. Between these 2 cycles, what would you suggest me to do? PCT or TRT? Or can I stay with HGH and insulin to keep the gains until I start the second cycle?
Man, this is totally irrelevant, PCT and TRT. TRT is when PCT doesn't work and you are hypogonadal. Otherwise, you call it yourself, cruising with testosterone. That means on and on, you never go off.
Right.
And PCT is going off, So you have to put this thing in your mind.
Yeah.
And PCT also restores fertility, You're natty. You try to unlock your axis, your own production.
So,
If you start testosterone, you have to introduce HCG, otherwise bye-bye babies.
Bye-bye baby. I mean, most people, if you've been on steroids long enough, you can't, PCT is kind of, it's not even worth doing because you're not going to get your own production back. That's why the blast and cruise
depends how long you're going to stay off. If you're a bitch boy and you want to blast for 2 months a year, you can, the rest of the 10 months, you can keep your own production. The point is, do not have expectations with your physique.
Yeah. It's funny. You just did the MD Levroni muscle report with Kevin Levroni last week.
Yeah, it was fantastic, the interview, because we cover many discussions,
So we're gonna put that on today. So this is gonna air Tuesday morning, and we're gonna put that on the same day in the afternoon. It's gonna be a whole day. And it's funny because you used the word Beach Boys in that interview at one point with Kevin and Jen. And
you
Jen,
always laugh with this.
I always laugh. And Jen
but
from
Beach
MD.
is with EA, no I.
Jen from MD, Jen Gerisi, she said, wow, Beach Boys, she thought it was funny. I said, he says that all the time. She had never heard it before. I said, I think you say that at least once every show at some point, because
we have this degrees with Beach Boys because
they just
lover boys,
Well, it's the guys who use drugs just to look, they're still small, but they just want to look a little better for the beach, right? Is that what a Beach Boy is?
The physique, the physique,
Yeah. Or you're talking about men's physique competitors.
Well, this is the frame, usually,
I mean, I hear Beach Boys, I'm thinking of that group from the 60s, the Beach Boys. They had all those hits about surfing and stuff.
Surfing USA.
Yeah, you know the Beach Boys, right?
Yes.
Yeah, they were great. Yeah, very high voices, harmonies. Cool. Well, Doctor, that is all the questions. But guys, later today, come back to this station. We usually do it around noon. It's going to be the MD Levroni muscle report. And the special guest was Dr. George. And it was a really good show. Kevin really got into it with me.
Very sincere.
He talked about his own steroid use. You commented on it. We had a really good discussion.
Spiritual also,
Yeah.
Kevin is a humble man, down to earth, He's not a cocky, arrogant diva,
No, not at all.
Approachable, and he's a good guy.
I like Kevin. Kevin's a good guy. I mean, sometimes we'll just talk on the phone, just, nothing, not even for the show or anything. He's just a good guy. So yeah, check that out, guys. Also, website is on the right behind the doctor on his backdrop. You see gtoul.com. That is his website. Plenty of great articles there in Greek and in English. Check out those books. Check him out on Instagram at Dr. George Souliatos. And if you have questions for next week's show, please leave them in the comments under here. We try to get to as many as you can. Try to keep it short and to the point. If they're like this long on the page, we're like, because that's going to take like half the show for one question. We want to help as many people as we can. And we have a great opportunity here with the doctor, a medical doctor, also has walked the walk as a national bodybuilding champion. You don't see too many of these doctors in the world. You could probably count them on one hand in this entire world that have that combination of experience. So thank you, doctor. Thank you for being here every week. Appreciate it. Yeah. All right. Well, that is it, guys. Thanks for watching. Ask Dr. Testosterone. We'll see you next time.